not born an entrepreneur. My parents actually migrated from Mexico to the United States in California, and all they really knew was, hard work, right? But they knew that there was value in education. So I actually wanted to be I just wanted to follow my parents' footsteps and be in the real estate industry. But this was back in 2007 when there was a big housing crash. People were losing their homes in foreclosure. So I decided to not become, a realtor or work in the real estate industry, and instead become an accountant.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest that I'm very excited to get to talk to, learn from, and connect with. In this Q2 of 2022, one of my goals was to have elite finances, right? That might not be specific or, it's not specific, but I have an idea of what that means, right? Like being in full control of all of the money that comes in, all the money that comes out, learning about taxes. And today, I have a feeling that we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm very excited. But before I introduce this gentleman to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And today I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, some type of value, some type of insight or information or a new tip that helps you save tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars with your business, or something that inspires you to go out and take action to make some progress towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 people out there. Share it on social media, share the link through Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, share with 10 people, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other entrepreneurs out there to change their lives and become the best versions of themselves. And today we have Joel Sandoval. He's the owner of the Sandoval tax firm, which serves entrepreneurs to save tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes every single year with their services. He's a husband, father, entrepreneur. So Joel, we had a messy start, man. So, but I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here, that you're making time to be here. Thank you very much. And you are welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex. It's a pleasure.
Man, we had a really messy start, but it's okay. So, man, the first thing that I did with my guest is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Got it. Yeah, so 75 seconds. So actually, I was not born an entrepreneur. My parents actually migrated from Mexico to the United States in California, and all they really knew was, hard work, right? But they knew that there was value in education. So I actually wanted to be I just wanted to follow my parents' footsteps and be in the real estate industry. But this was back in 2007 when there was a big housing crash. People were losing their homes in foreclosure. So I decided to not become, a realtor or work in the real estate industry, and instead become an accountant, a CPA, because I love numbers and it seemed like the perfect personality for me. But I still just wanted a good paying job, 6 figures. So hopefully I could provide for my family that, one day I would have. And I started reading, personal development books. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which opened my mind to this whole new world. So I was making 6 figures at the time, and I decided to leave that career. Well, not really that career, just that job, to start my own firm, Sandoval Tax CPA. So I went from 6 figures to 0 figures literally overnight. So now I was making no money, but I was an entrepreneur, and I started my firm, Sandoval Tax CPAs. And 2 weeks after, I found out my wife was expecting our firstborn daughter, and she said, "You have 9 months to make this business work. If you don't make this business work in 9 months, you're going to have to go back and get a job." And I did not want to go back and get a job because, for one, I feel like I wasn't a great employee. And two, I had this huge dream of, building something special. So I literally cold called, door knocked, did everything that you can literally think of to really just grow a big company. Fast forward to today, we now have a multi seven-figure firm, accounting firm, and we save business owners, like as you mentioned, $30,000 to $40,000 on average year after year in taxes. So that's what our mission is, and we've been able to do that for many business owners in America.
Nice. So you probably had a really good experience of the fact that it's not the same, right? For example, to cut hair or run a cutting hair business, right?
Right.
It's not the same to like be a CPA and
Right.
running a CPA firm, right? So tell me about your experience with that, man.
Yeah. So for me, obviously to become a CPA, you need to have a 4-year degree. So you need to have your bachelor's degree in business. So I was actually the first graduating class in my whole family. So all of my family, yeah, thank you. So most of my family, they barely graduated high school, and most of them just had jobs. A lot of them work in the fields, and I had the opportunity to go to school. So I went to school, got my degree in accounting. I knew I wanted to, do something special with my life, and I did. I graduated top of my class. I graduated with a 3.95 GPA. So I had multiple offers from CPA firms, and obviously, when I started my career as a CPA, all I wanted to do was just be able to provide for my family. But it wasn't, I realized that I was missing that. There was a certain cap that you could make whenever you're working, for a company. They pay you well, but there's only a certain amount of money that you can make, right? So even though you could provide a good lifestyle, I was not going to get rich, especially here in America with, the cost of living being very expensive. It's really like all the money you're making is going to Uncle Sam. All the money you're making is, you're barely paying the bills. There's hardly any money left over for anything else. And so I learned that you can basically make an unlimited amount of money if you start a business, right? And so that's why I decided to just take the leap of faith and go from 6 figures to 0 figures, because I wanted to basically do the same thing that I was doing already in my career as an accountant, but now do it for myself. But all I did was just create a job for myself. So I was basically doing the same thing. So I had to find out how to have leverage. How can I grow this business? So my goal since the very beginning was, how can I get this business, Sandoval Tax CPAs, to run without me? How can I, and it's still a mission of mine. I would probably say maybe I've probably delegated 80% of my tasks.
Nice.
And I still have like 20% more to go, but I just create more ideas. And so I always feel like I'm always have more things to do, but that was kind of my mission was, how can I get this business to run without me? And I'm actually, during COVID, I had, I got, hit with COVID for about 3 weeks, and it was the best, not the best, that was the worst feeling, but the best feeling was that, while I was, sick in bed, my salesperson,
You're still making money.
I was still making money. Yeah. It was like, man, they're closing deals. And it was like, man, I didn't have to worry about bills. I didn't have to worry about anything. So it was a blessing.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, I want to dive a little bit deeper into, that whole journey of becoming a basically solopreneur with a job, right?
Right.
To becoming like the CEO of your firm, right? And then having 80% of your tasks be delegated and be done by someone else, which is, extremely important. Like that is why we get into business. If you don't get into business to be able to build a vehicle, a machine that will allow you to like step back and live your life, then you're in business for the wrong thing. Like you should be able to build your business so that it runs by itself without needing you.
100%.
Which is very exciting, because that's what I'm starting to do as well, man. This past couple of months, that's what I've been starting to do.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like I have my team that do everything.
Nice.
I just like talk to people all day, right?
Nice.
Which is pretty exhausting, right? It's a lot of work talking to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And so you realize how your income is limited, right? When you work for someone else, because like the definition, just by the definition of having a job, right?
Right.
If you have a job at a company, then you will never get paid more than what you're worth, because if not, they wouldn't hire you, right? Because like if you're paid a certain amount of money to do a certain job for a company, then that means that they're paying you less than what that job is worth to be able to profit from that, right? Because that's why, right, they
Exactly.
get the difference. So if you work for someone else, you will never be paid what you are actually worth, because the company has to make profit from you, basically.
Right.
And you realize this from very early, right? So you decided to, you know what, you found out, you read in some book, probably Robert Kiyosaki, that business owners have an uncapped, unlimited amount of income that they can make if they, provide value to the market. So you were like, okay, let me start my business. And then you started it, right? You let go of a job, a nice and secure job that paid you 6 figures per year, and to start your own thing.
Yep.
While you did that, your wife was pregnant, right? You found out that your wife was pregnant, and you had 9 months to make it work. So how did that all turn out, man?
I mean, it turned out great, but at the time, it was the scariest thing that, I was very excited that we were going to have our firstborn daughter. Those 9 months that actually ended up only being 7 months, because my wife ended up leaving her job early. But it was probably the best thing, because, I'm naturally, most accountants are naturally introverted, right? So I'm not, an extroverted person that just likes talking to people. That was a skill that I had to learn. And so sales, marketing, I had no idea how to run a business. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was I knew how to prepare tax returns. I knew how to do accounting for businesses. I could provide value, which is why I was getting paid 6 figures, but I didn't know how to present my value to the marketplace. I knew how to present my value to an employer. So whenever I interviewed, it'd be like, hey man, you're the top person for the job. But now I had to present that value to a business owner, and they were like, oh, they didn't want to hire me as a CPA. They don't want to hire me to do their taxes. Or if they did, they wanted to pay me, very, very minimal. And I was like, why am I doing this? I'd rather just go back and get a job. But really, the only thing that I was lacking was I didn't know how to sell myself to the marketplace. I didn't know how to sell myself and really show how much I was worth, because I really was worth a lot. I had a lot of skills, but I didn't know how to articulate that to the marketplace. All I did was, if I interviewed for an employer, they're like, man, this guy has an impressive resume, seems like he has the skills for the job. And I would always land the job. But now to articulate that to a business owner, they'd be like, no, they're in business too. So they're trying to pay the least amount possible to their accountant. Now it's like, so now, I had to invest in coaching. I had to invest in mentoring, how to run a business, how to do sales, how to manage a team, because that part I had no idea. None of my family members were business owners. Even now, I'm like the only one that owns a business. Everybody else, just has a regular paying job, and they're just lucky that they have, they're just happy that they're getting a paycheck. So for me, it was something that I didn't really have any resources. I had to invest tens of thousands of dollars into, other millionaires that had done this, and they had all the secrets on how to build wealth. And so that's what, I did, and paid off very well.
Nice. Awesome, man. So I have a Mexican family as well. And in the past 3 years, I've invested like about $200,000 in my personal development. And they think I'm crazy, right? But that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes to, right? Like investing in yourself. It's like the best investment that you can make. Would you agree? Do you feel like it is?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think that it just shortcuts your path to success, because a lot of people, they don't want to spend that much money. Like you said, a lot of people think that you're crazy, and it's because, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But if you try to save the money, it's going to only take you 10 times longer, or you're actually missing, it's actually costing you money, because the income potential that you could generate, it doesn't really matter if it costs you 200, if you're going to make $1 million from that investment, right? All it is your ROI, your return on investment. So if you're going to get a return on your investment, it's not really an expense. It's an investment that's going to pay off 5, 6 times, 10 times more. And so it's just a matter of making sure you get your money's worth.
Yeah, man. So, and what you realize is something very important that any service provider has to realize, that whenever you're going into business selling your service, like your job as a CPA is not being a CPA. Your job as a CPA is the sales and marketing of CPA's services, right? Because
100%.
Right. So I think you have in your team, CPAs that do the actual CPA, and what you focus on is closing deals and, getting people in and right.
Yeah. And I would even say now I even don't even close deals. I have a sales team that does that. So really my job is just to be now like the face of my firm.
The
So
CEO. Yeah.
the CEO. Yeah. And that, I don't know if you ever watch those commercials, but like I always joke around because Verizon Wireless had I think he's actually moved over to Sprint, but Verizon Wireless would have the guy that said, "Can you hear me now?" And he would walk 10 more feet when, cell phones were just coming out and be like, "Can you hear me now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can hear you." And he was the face of Verizon, right? And then he ended up moving to Sprint, and now I think he does similar commercials. So that's really what I am for my firm is I'm the face of my company. And there's good and bad things to it. Like, a lot of times people just want to work with me because, they see, oh, Joel's the CPA, and he's the one that's been on Bradley's podcast, and he's the one that, has saves his clients for over $49 million. So when I say, hey, work with my team members, some clients kind of hesitate for that. But it's like, I'm at the point where, my goal is to delegate responsibilities. And so my goal is, again, just to attract business. And at the end of the day, if I can solve your problems, if I'm going to save you $30,000 to $40,000 in taxes this year, not every single year going forward, does it really matter if it's done by me or one of my team members? Not really. All that matters is the result. And I've invested so much time into my team members to provide that service, provide that value. So really what I am is the marketer of my firm.
So let's just let it sink in. There you go. So like if you are like a doctor, right, and you want to start I don't know, like a hospital, like your job will go from being a doctor to marketing your hospital, right, so that people can come and get fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So like me, right, I had to go through the entire process of building a podcast, aligning my podcast with to make it something that would help me achieve my goals, finding my ideal podcast guest, closing interviews with them, doing a content machine. I had to go through the entire thing, but then I systemized the entire thing as I went through it. And now I have team members that do the service for me, or that help me with the service. And my job is not building podcasts anymore. My job is just, closing deals. And eventually I'll have a sales team as well. And, but I'm finally a CEO. So
nice.
That's cool. But now, man, I want to get into the good stuff, which is, accounting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know, man. Because I just started making money this year. And, like, I don't even know about taxes, right? I had a couple of financial guys come into my podcast and teach me a little bit about what they do and how to manage money.
Right.
But I'm at the point in which I just started to make money a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And I don't even know about taxes. So enlighten me.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems I think is that, especially business owners or even Hispanic business owners, like they're very good at, especially, they're very good. They're very hardworking. A lot of them are good at using their hands. Like a lot of them work in construction, they're working, trucking and transportation, at least here in California. A lot of Hispanics, are very good. But when I ask them, how much money did you make? Absolutely no idea. If I ask them, all they know is how much they have in their bank account. But if I say, well, what were your annual sales last year? No idea. How much did you profit after paying for all your expenses? Do you have, assistants, you have costs for, doing business? Have much were you left with? Absolutely no idea. And so that's where we come in, and we really help business owners kind of not only have them know their numbers, right, but also help them run their business from an organizational standpoint, because that's, a lot of business owners, like you said, you're making money, but then you might not realize where's my money going, right? And especially when you're dealing with lots of money, you want to make sure that you can exactly know where you spend your money, so that way you can make decisions in your business, right? And be like, all right, is this a profitable?
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. Go to my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events. Become a millionaire in 1 year. Get mentored by multimillionaires. and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself? If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my event. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Making money from this project that I'm working on. What's my return on investment? Right? So that way you can make better decisions. If you think about like some of the biggest investors in the world, right? Whenever they're investing money into apartments or real estate, all they're looking at is the numbers, like what's going to be my return on investment. So why not do the same thing with your business? If I invest into this contract, or if I invest into this, open a second location, or if I purchase another truck, or if I hire these 10 team members, you need to know your return on your investment. So that's where we come in. And it's like, if you're going to do, why do people do with investments, but they don't do it for their own business? It makes absolutely no sense. Your business is the one that's making you money. So you might as well know where your numbers, know exactly how much money you're making, know exactly how much money. And then one of the problems is that once you start making money here in the United States, you start paying taxes, and the government takes up to 50%, of whatever you make. So if you make, let's say 100,000, well, $50,000 potentially is going to go to the government.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So how can you? And so what a lot of like Hispanics do is they don't want to pay taxes, so they do it illegally. They'll start, say, hey, I only accept cash, and they don't want to accept electronic forms of payment because that can all be tracked by the government. So they say, hey, I only want cash, And so what I always tell my clients is, hey, why not? What if you could report all of your income and pay less taxes? And then a lot of the people that are just doing cash, whenever they want to buy a house, they're making good money, but they can't prove it because they have to report, their income on their tax return. which then they give to the bank, but then the bank says you're poor, but really they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so then they can't buy a house. So, all the big corporations, they're reporting all their income, and then they're still paying zero to no money in taxes. Why? Because they have a CPA like myself on their team that knows all the different tax strategies to help them save, tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so if you make 100, we can help. If you have a $50,000 bill, we can make it $10,000. That's another $40,000 that you could invest back into your business, go on a nice family vacation, purchase a car, do whatever you want. But all you have to do is partner with someone like us to help make that happen.
Nice. Awesome. Well, there you go. Right. So man, you have a free tax assessment, right?
Yes.
So what does that do for you? Like if I take that free tax assessment, what will I get?
So most people, it's kind of like whenever if you hire a CPA, right? A lot of people, they have the same accountant year after year, and they don't really think twice about it, right? But you might be paying $40,000 to $50,000 in taxes. You might say, "Oh, well, it's because I made a lot of money," and you don't realize that there's a lot of opportunities to help save you money. So the free tax assessment is like, hey, let me look at your tax return, and 9 out of 10 times we realize that you actually overpaid in taxes, but you probably didn't even think twice about it because you're just focusing on making more money. And it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about how much money you make, but rather how much money you get to keep.
Yeah.
And so that free tax assessment will basically be a free second opinion on your tax return. And more than likely, like I said, we save on average $30,000 to $40,000 per client in tax savings. So that free tax assessment is literally just a free analysis to see if we can save you money.
Nice. Awesome. So it's just a free second opinion on see like what's going on with our taxes and with the money that is coming in and everything. Cool, man. So that basically you take care of the financials of business owners, right?
Yes.
100%. And I guess you have your own system and all of that. But man, do you have a personal accounting system for like you and your family? Like how do you manage your personal finances? I'm just curious.
Yeah, personally, that's a great question, right? Because we focus a lot on businesses, right?
Yeah.
But personally, how you manage your finances, I would probably say is even more important. Now, our service, obviously, we're not going to try to manage your personal finances, but me personally, the way I manage it is, I have an agreement with my wife about, she gets a certain allowance every single month that she gets to spend. And then sometimes she overspends more than her allowance. But to me, the relationship with my wife is more important.
So now she's in debt. And what do you do?
Yeah, she's in debt. But, for me now, it's like, all right, well, the relationship matters more to me. And so I just have to, obviously I want to, make sure where she's spending her money, because I'm doing the accounting as well for, personally myself for what we're spending our personal money on, because I'm an accountant. But, I'm not going to nickel and dime her and say, hey, you're spending all this money, as long as it's reasonable, I'll, have a conversation with her. But usually I'll just, give her more money so she could spend. And I just have to focus as an entrepreneur. I got to make more sales because I don't want to ruin the relationship with my spouse.
Yeah. So man, I'm curious about how a CPA's personal finances look like. So like, what is your structure? Do you have a certain percentage that you use for fun, for investing, Yeah,
that's a good question. Everyone manages their finances differently, right? For me, the way I do it is, I first focus on the business, right? Because the business is what's bringing in the money. So I got to make sure the business is, has money to reinvest. And to me, that's the best place that you can invest your money, is back into your business, right? Because that's really what's generating the most income. So I love to invest back into more team members, back into infrastructure, how to make the processes better, how to improve the efficiencies. As a CEO, that's where most of my money is going back. So if there's any profits, it's going back into my business. Now, of course, there has to be some diversification. So whatever money is a little bit left over, and it's like, okay, I've already reinvested back into my business, I'll put a certain percentage into like other investments like real estate or even hard money loans. I'll do some of that as well, but that's not my primary focus. My primary focus is investing really almost all of it back into my business, because the compound effect the most of the biggest return is going to be where, the things that I'm seeing every single day.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that's the best place to reinvest your own money.
Cool. So you loan money as well. That's really cool.
I do. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So let's see, man. So we have a couple of minutes. I have a lot to ask, but I gotta pick. So let me ask about your podcast, man. Believe in the Entrepreneur, it's called, right?
Yes.
So when did you start that podcast?
So I started actually earlier this year, around January of 2022. And the main reason I did it was because I was a guest on a few podcasts, and I really liked the relationships that I was building. And it's interesting. So I just built really the podcast to build relationships, not really with the intention of making any money. Just really trying to get to know people in my own community. And man, the knowledge that I've gained from being a podcast host, it's like you're getting free coaching almost. And not just that, you're building relationships, which has actually some of those people that I've interviewed have also referred clients to, hey, I have someone that is looking for a CPA. And now because I was, they were a guest on my podcast, they ended up referring me business. So it's been a great resource. It's been a lot of fun too. I enjoy talking to people and listening to their stories, and everyone has a different story. And, the whole thesis behind my podcast is, how the struggles that an entrepreneur had to go through in order to build their business. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy, and it's not for everybody. And everybody has to go through, a lot of things to get to where they're at. So what are the struggles that you had to go through? What are some of the things, even the mental battles, right? Because it's almost comes back to mindset. Yeah. So what is what are you doing? What are your morning rituals? What are the things how are you being, why are you successful? And you get all these different perspectives from people, and then you just take little nuggets, right? And then you apply it to yourself. And at the same time, the listeners get so much value. And then before you know it, your personal brand starts to grow. You start getting more clients, and those are all the compound effects of having a podcast. So it's been a lot of fun.
The compound effects of focusing on relationships, because that's what the world, life, and business is all about: relationships and people.
Right? Exactly.
And man, I've interviewed over 100, high level 6, 7, 8, and even some 9-figure entrepreneurs. I've literally gotten on 1-hour conversations with guys who've made billions of dollars, man. It's crazy, right? I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have a platform to do it on, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the way that I explain it is, there's 5 main currencies in the world, right? Like a currency is something that you trade for something else. Like you trade time for money, you trade money for time, you trade knowledge for money, knowledge for time, right? And there's 5 currencies. There's network, attention. Now attention is a currency because attention is very valuable.
Right.
There's money, right? Network, attention, money, knowledge, time, right? Yep. Through a network, by building a network, you can get the other 4, right? By building a network, you can connect with people and build relationships with people who can help you gain attention, who can put you in front of hundreds of your ideal clients, right? So you were in the podcast with Brad Lee, that relationship put you in front of thousands of people.
Yes.
Right. So attention, money, right? So that relationship put you in front of thousands of people, from which you probably got some clients. I don't know, but I'm guessing,
yeah.
Right? I'm guessing. Yep. And you can build relationships with people who can become your clients, refer you to clients, and put you in front of clients. So you make money. So by building the network, you gain attention, you gain money, you gain knowledge, right? Because the idea is I've been interviewing people who are decades ahead of me, right? Right. I'm just 21. I don't know anything about life or business. And I'm interviewing people who are decades ahead of me in every single aspect of my life. I'm learning from them. I'm getting a lot of knowledge, and I'm collapsing time. 100%. I'm literally achieving goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve this year. Speaking in front of hundreds of people at an event, throwing my own events, and building, a $1 million company, man. I'm doing that this year, in 1 year. And
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's all been because of my podcast, right? And being intentional about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you said, your network, is your net worth. So if you're intentional about, your platform and building the platform that people want to be on and people want to collaborate with, you start becoming an attractive, you start getting attention because, you have the platform to do so. And then you get better guests, you get better also listeners, right? And then before you know it, it's just like, it's really your biggest asset in your business. But I think I would say one thing that you said, was knowledge, because there's so much, free knowledge nowadays with podcasts, YouTube, Google, right? And a lot of people get that knowledge, but they don't apply. They don't apply. And I think that's the biggest, the area that I think people need to work on is a lot of people know stuff, but they don't take action. And if you're not going to take action, that knowledge is worthless. So make sure that, if you're going to be listening and getting advice, like you're getting from your podcast, is like, okay, well, let's start applying the stuff that I learned. Otherwise it's useless.
Yeah. 100%, man. So, man, I end my interview with 5 questions, but before I ask those 5 questions, I want to ask you one final thing, right? So you mentioned how you come from a family who, like no one has gone to college. People have barely graduated from high school. They all work, normal paying jobs. And you're like the only one who went to college. You're the only one who has a business. Your business has, you've been able to grow your business to past 7 figures. And you right now, you said that entrepreneurship is not for everyone, right?
Right.
So like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, man? Like, what makes you different?
That's a good question. I think for me, I'm someone who really enjoys learning. So learning has always been very important to me because ever since I was a kid, I would always hang around with my dad, and my dad would he said one of the things that he wanted to do with his kids is teach them everything they know. And he always jokes around that by the time I was in 6th grade, that he already had taught me everything. And he was like, "You're only 10 years old, and I don't know what else to teach you."
Damn.
And I wanted to continue learning, so I had to go find other people to get mentored by, and I feel like that has never left me. I'm always a student. So when I learned that about entrepreneurship and how you can make more money, it just really, I was like, how it made sense, but I was like, okay, well, what skills do I need to learn? And even till this right now, it's like, okay, how can I become, make my 7-figure accounting firm an 8-figure accounting firm? How can I make my 8? And once I'm an 8 figures, how can I get to 9 figures?
And the climb never ends.
Yeah, and it's just a game, that I think that as long as you know also your why, right? I think is very important. Like for me, my family is very important. So as long as I don't sacrifice time with my daughters, with my wife, that's very important to me. As long as I don't forget that, I want to, the sky's the limit for me.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome, man. So I want to ask you one more thing before those 5 questions. And it's about Tax Savers Academy. What is that? What is that?
So Tax Savers Academy. So most CPAs are expensive. Okay. A lot of, especially like, small business owners, especially the Hispanics, they for whatever reason, because I think because of our ancestors, like we're very budget, spend at least money as possible.
Mindset, yeah.
Very cheap almost. and I'm, as a CPA, I'm a very expensive, accountant. I'm a very expensive.
But you still want to have them. I want to help them, right?
Yeah, I still want to help them. Exactly. So I was like, I created basically the Tax Savers Academy, which is a 6-week course where you can learn exactly all the things that I would teach you if you were my client, but now for only $97 a month. And it includes a 1 monthly group session on Zoom where you can ask any questions. Obviously, we're not going to be doing any accounting work. We're not going to be doing your taxes, but you're going to get the knowledge that, tax advice that you would
so
get.
that you can do yourself.
Yeah. So you can do it yourself. And then eventually, once you start growing, you can delegate that to us if you need to.
Cool. Yeah. So this, the Tax Savers Academy is for anyone who may not be able to afford an accountant, a CPA just yet, right? But it's interested in learning how to do themselves. Awesome, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that is really helpful because like Hispanic business owners or people who like maybe solopreneurs, they would be able to benefit from that advice, right? That takes tax saving advice,
right?
But like would not be able to invest. So that would, I think, is a really cool option, man, that you have. And awesome. So
yeah,
my first question is, What advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think if I were to, I would just say fear is just a feeling.
Fear is what?
Fear is all it is just a feeling. It doesn't
Okay.
mean, yeah, it's just a feeling because I started learning about entrepreneurship, probably it took me like maybe 5 years of reading entrepreneurial books before I was like, okay, I'm going to start my business. And you know, uh,
Damn.
I was just so scared. I was so scared to start it, even though I just, but now it's just like, all it is a feeling. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fail, and it's like when I played baseball, for example, growing up, and it's like, it's possible that you're going to strike out, right? But does that mean you're not going to go at bat and try to swing the bat? Like, no, you got to go out there and try. So all it is just a feeling.
Amazing analogy, man. Right? So
Yeah,
in baseball, you're gonna get strike out. You can get strike out, but is the fear of getting strike out will that prevent you from going and trying to swing the bat? Well, no,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. And so many people stay on the fence, right? Like stay just watching.
Yeah, they just watch the games and they never swing the bat. And of course, are you ever going to get a base hit or a home run if you don't swing the bat? No.
Amazing advice, man. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people just sitting behind the fence, just watching, desiring to go out and chase more and get more out of life, be more, do more, and have more. And you had that experience. So what would you say for anyone who may find themselves in that situation?
I would say, before, obviously you're going to have that fear, but surround yourself with mentors, people that have already been successful. Like if you start, for example, going back to the baseball analogy, if you hire a baseball coach, right, before you go at bat, you're going to have way much better chances of hitting the ball, right? He's going to show you how to stand. He's going to show you how to hold the bat. He's going to show you how to swing. So that when you get to that bat, it's like, you're going to have a lot more confidence that you're going to hit the ball. You're going to have a lot more confidence that you're not going to strike out because you've invested into a coach that already knows how to hit the ball 400 feet.
Yeah.
So if you invest into someone that's done it, your probability of success is like almost, very much higher. You're almost going to hit the ball, like regardless if you hire the right coach.
Then doing it by yourself. And this is not part of the questions, but how long did it take you to actually invest in yourself, man?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I probably the first time I invested into a coach was probably like 2 years after I started my business.
Damn.
And I wish I would have done it since the beginning because
Sooner, yeah.
I would have probably built a seven-figure accounting firm 5 years ago.
Yeah, man. So as soon as I went into entrepreneurship, I was like, I don't know anything. Like I don't know how to be a dad. I don't know how to be a husband. I don't know how to be me. I don't know how to be a nothing, right? And I started paying people who knew all of that. And now I have coaches for family, fitness, spirituality, emotions, finance, everything, right?
Yeah, you need that. Yeah, even just to hold you accountable. Because you might know how to do it, but it's like, for fitness, for example, you might know how to work out, but
you won't.
Yeah, exactly. You need someone to say, hey, how was your workout? You got to report to your coach.
And your coach will keep you fiercely accountable. That's their job, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, man. So the next question is around mindset. So what is one mindset shift that you've had that you can share that you think is contributing to your success right now?
That's a great question. Mindset. I think for me, it's always like just be cognizant about what you take in, like what you listen to, because whatever you take in is what you're gonna spit out of your mouth. So when you hear someone speak about whatever their thoughts are, or whatever they believe in, it's usually because of what they're listening to or what they're surrounding themselves. So just be, cognizant about who you're hanging out with, be cognizant about what you're listening to, because that's going to influence, your actions and your behavior. So.
And that's so real, man. And that's so much more deeper than what you're saying, right? Like, just be cognizant of what you put in. That is much more, but the meaning behind what you're saying is much more deeper than that, right? And you know this, and I know this, and anyone listening will probably not know it unless they've experienced it before, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever you put in is what goes out, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yep.
So if you put in negativity will come out. If you put in positivity will come out.
Yep.
So watch who you're hanging out with, watch where you watch where you listen to, everything, right? That's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
real.
Yeah, you just got to be pay attention to your surroundings and what you're allowing to your environment. Pay attention to what you're listening to. Pay attention to, like you said, even when you're scrolling on social media, who are you following? All that has an influence in your thoughts.
Man, one of the first things that I did when I became an entrepreneur is I unfollowed all of the BS that I was following.
Yep.
And then I started following like people like Grant Cardone and right. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I still remember it. Like it was such a good idea. I don't know why I did it. Nobody told me. I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of all of this. And I just started unfollowing everyone. And I started following, people that I thought were going to benefit me. So yeah.
100%. Yep.
The next question, man, is mindset map. Like, do you have any advice for people who may need some clarity in their life?
Yeah, I think clarity comes with experience.
Okay.
Like for me, when I wanted to be in real estate, I was almost, I thought that's what I wanted to do because both my parents did that. And then it turned out not to be the case. So for me, if you want clarity, you kind of have to just taste the waters, like taste a little bit, taste this, and you're like, man, this one, I really like this one. I really
Exactly.
enjoy this. And then that's where you find your clarity, because it's like you just vibe with it, and then you just get more and more clear the more you test stuff.
Nice. I love that. Mindset map motion. So what is one habit that you have right now, Joel, that is contributing to your success?
I would say for me, it's just always setting that next goal, like always setting that next goal. Like, for me, I'm never like satisfied. As soon as I get to the next goal, it's like, all right, what's next? And always putting another, it's kind of like, a dog fetching is like, you go fetch, you throw a fetch and it goes get it. And it's like, throw it again. And it's a nonstop thing. But for me, that's what I enjoy. It's like, I'm very driven by goals. That's kind of like, everybody knows me like that. Everything else becomes second once I have a goal in mind. But that's what's helped me achieve success, because it's like, I'm not gonna take no for an answer until I reach that goal.
Cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. Mindset map motion measure, right? So you're an accounting guy, big numbers, big on numbers. What do you think about measuring and tracking?
Oh, I mean, that's like the number one thing, right? As an accountant. I think you have to measure everything, but I think what's probably, taking it out of the accounting perspective, also measuring the intangibles, things that you can't really see. So like measuring also like what time do you wake up, measuring what time, how many hours, or if you're into fitness, how many calories did you consume, measuring, how much time you spent with your daughters, measuring, the things that sometimes are not even related to business. Like, just think about the things that make you happy as an individual, as a person. And it's like, are you spending time? Are you focusing on things that really are creating happiness for your life?
Awesome. Intangibles. I actually track my emotions, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 100% I agree. Man, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you very much. And man, if I want to know more about accounting stuff, about taxes, saving tens of thousands of dollars on taxes annually, and everything that you do and everything that you're all about your podcast, where should I go? Where's the best place that I can find you?
Yeah, the best way would probably be on my Instagram. If you have a social media, you can go to Joel Sandoval CPA.
Cool.
Or if you want to schedule a free 15-minute discovery call, which includes your free tax assessment, you can go to help.sandovaltax.com, and then that'll redirect you to a 15-minute discovery call to get that free tax assessment.
Nice. Awesome, man. So we'll put the link for the free tax assessment wherever this appears, your podcast, your tax savers academy, your socials, and everything wherever this appears. All right. Thank you very much, man. And I'll see you later.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Alex. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms